It's all good. Have you ever heard of the phrase, if you don't have enough for the whole class?
I will have enough, actually. I'll virtually send it. It's also vegan, so.
Oh, nice. Nice, we like that. I like the hair color change.
Oh, thank you. I just did it on a Saturday.
It looks good.
4 hours later.
Oh my, that's dedication. Hey, Patricia, is Vanessa going to be monitoring on Facebook chat, or is that you?
Yes, Vanessa will.
Okay, so we'll see her when she gets here. All right, well, we've got a very, well, as we usually do, very packed night, so we're going to get started. I want to thank you all very, very much for being here. I'm in my hometown, so like we said, growing up, we appreciate you un chingo for being here. That means we appreciate you a whole dang lot for being here tonight. So again, welcome, and we're glad you're here. We really, really would like to hear your voice. So either in the chat or in person, you can unmute yourself, but we want to hear from you all night tonight for this whole hour that we're together. So if you could make sure that you're replying to the panelists and to the attendees so everyone can see your comments. We're gonna get started actually right now. But we'd like to hear an answer from you about a highlight from your weekend. Who would like to share a highlight? Oh, here comes Helen and Ben and Chelsea. Oh, Fatima put that in the chat. Hey, y'all. You might have to share it again, Fatima, because we got folks that just popped in when you popped it up. We're just getting started. We want to know if y'all want to share a highlight from your weekend.
I saw The Conjuring, that scary movie.
Oh, I don't do scary. I'm a scary cat. Was it a thumbs up? Was it a thumbs down? Remember Ebert? What are they called? I'm not gonna.
I mean, it's like the 6th in the series or something, so it's like hard to like keep it good after like 6 movies, but it was pretty good.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you about the sequel thing. Anyone else want to share? We got scary movie. What else did we do?
I did my first in-person staycation. Stayed mask, but I still did a staycation.
Where'd you go?
My daughter turned 13, so we booked one room night at the Arizona Grand, so she and 2 friends could go and swim.
Oh, that's wonderful. That sounds great. A little bit back to normalcy of whatever normalcy is going to look like post-COVID. Nice. Anyone else want to share? Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Amy.
Ben and I made dinner for a friend last night, and we used a bunch of produce from our garden, which is a first for us. Super exciting. Ben made a squash galette, and I made Japanese pickled eggplant.
Yeah, and we've got these monster squash. They're
so big.
That big. I don't even.
Oh my gosh, can I raise my hand for your squash blossoms when they come out so I could stuff them with cheese and eat them every day?
Yes, so good.
For both of us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Patricia says she loves a galette. Me too. We're coming over. I'm vaccinated.
Hey, love it.
I love it. Thanks for sharing, Vin and Chelsea. We appreciate you. Anyone else want to share their plans for the weekend, from the weekend, or a highlight?
One of the sunflower crate garden started blooming this weekend, so that's pretty exciting.
Your crate garden did?
Yeah.
Ooh, what do you have in there?
Just sunflowers and some other regular flowers. The peas already dried out and the cilantro already dried out, but the sunflowers are still growing.
All you need is one thing to set roots so that the moisture regulates. Look at me talking like Mr. Green Jeans over here, but all you need is one thing and to give you hope for the future. Everyone who just joined, if folks on Facebook would like to also share some highlight from the weekend. We have like another minute or so if you want to share what a highlight. Don't worry, Petra, we got you. Thanks for being here. And Corin and Dominic too. Hi, Kitty. Aw.
And Karen on Facebook just drove back from Los Angeles. She got to spend time with 2 close friends that are family. That's awesome, Karen. Thanks for sharing.
That's great. That's really cool. All right, well, if no one else has something to add about their weekend. Oh, I'm in my hometown. I'm hanging out with my mom and my brother, which I haven't done in a long time. And it's probably been over a year for this amount of time. So even though the reason I came in, I've been the best of news. We have been kicking it hardcore, and I have been cooking like nobody's business. And it has made my heart so happy to cook in the kitchen where I grew up. Like, it really has made my heart happy. So I'm coming to Helen's to get some sunflowers for the centerpiece. I'm coming to Ben and Chelsea's to come get some veg. And I will see y'all next time. Okay, bye. Just kidding. All right, y'all, let's get started. We have a pretty jam-packed agenda as per usual. So I just want to also remind folks on Facebook that if you're joining us live, go ahead and share your broadcast this to your page, because we want this to go as far and wide as possible. We're having another information-filled night of abolition education, so I hope you are ready. And if you're new and have come to see the ABC 15 PC Monday expose that Dave Biscobing brought, we will definitely drop in the chat a link to the series. We are going to have a continuation of the series today, maybe not in the same way as previously, but these are from Dave Biscobing. But I will have to go ahead and pass it over to Patricia so you can get politically charged for the night, sis.
Yay, thank you so much, Zoraida. Thank you everybody for being here with us. We so appreciate you. It has been a long time. Okay, we started back in February, I think February 8th, and it's June 7th, and we're still here together revealing more drama, more lies, more corruption coming out of the county attorney office here in Maricopa and Phoenix Police Department. They stay colluding, they stay corrupt, and we stay organizing to keep us safe. So thank you for being here on this very long journey. You know, the end is somewhere out in the distance, and we'll be together for it. We do have all the same players here. I wanted to know if people could drop in the chat just to make sure we're fresh up and we know who's who. If people can either come off mute and let us know who is the Phoenix Police Department chief. We're naming names tonight, everybody.
That would be Jerry Williams.
That would be, that's
Jerry.
right, Jerri, or maybe it's one R, I don't know, Jerry Williams, Chief of Police, one R, yeah, I get it wrong every time. Okay, well done, that's 10 points. Who is, or should I say was, the head of Maricopa County Attorney Office First Responders Bureau? You don't have to know this one. If you don't, it's okay, because she's not anymore.
April, I assume.
Oh no, spoiler alert, Patricia.
Spoiler, sorry, I have no patience or filter. Okay, it was LaCrone, Sherry LaCrone, and she resigned. We'll see that little news story tonight without any reason whatsoever. Just resign, no big deal. And then who is our least favorite prosecutor that is still on administrative leave?
That's April.
That's the evil April. That's right, Cruella DeVille, the prosecutor, for sure. And then, I mean,
Petra says, boo.
for sure. And, you know, we were going to ask, like, where is Alistair Adele in all of this? Actually, Gabe, now could you share the Alistair tweet? Because it's a good question, like, where is the newly elected county attorney? Well, all of this is happening, you know, Ria's stalking her on Twitter, and she's just posting about things, and everything's cool. And on the 24th, when all of these news stories came out that we will get into, she literally posted this on Twitter, like everything's cool. And she's in the Rotary 100 International, which I don't know, it's like, as far as I can tell, a very white people, we're cool and political, charitable folks. So the four-way test that they're supposed to ask themselves always, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? So she posts that as her little, you know, this is what I do. These are the questions I ask myself before I act in business, in relationship, and in community. So slow clap for Alistair. That's what she's up to, just lying like a liar lies. Gabe, take it away so we don't have to look at the lies anymore. Thank you. We wanted to share that because we're petty and it's terrible. Like, have some shame, have a little bit of shame. Like, you're ruining people's lives purposefully. And then the other side of your face, you're talking about honesty and truth and goodwill. So we're not falling for it. Let me get back into my little script because I just go off on the petty section.
I just want to welcome Rosalind and Vanessa, and I believe Catherine and Kate just popped in, and Ronnie.
Yay. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone on Facebook. Yay, Miss Roz is here. Okay, so and then like a final reminder, it has been a long road, you know, over 400 arrests, and we still have one charge remaining. This wild office will not drop Sue's charge. They will, but they haven't yet. So and they're only doing that because they're vindictive. It would have been easier for them, much better for them. They probably, some of them could have kept their job had they just admitted they were wrong and, you know, fully throw in their little informant under the bus, but they couldn't do that. So that's our little update recap.
Is that, we're at the end of your recap, Patricia?
Yes.
Right on. So we have the first short video that's really, really big news. It came out on the 19th of this month. We want to make sure you saw it. So Gabe, are you ready for the first video? Here we go.
I'm ABC 15 investigator Dave Biscobing, and new tonight, a top Maricopa County prosecutor is resigning. The announcement comes as the county attorney's office is facing a scandal for how it handled multiple Phoenix protest cases. His name is Vince Goddard. He was a division chief who oversaw multiple prosecution units, including the First Responders Bureau. Now, protest cases were specifically screened out and assigned to the First Responders Bureau, which repeatedly presented false information and testimony to grand juries in protest cases. The most notorious example was charging this group as a criminal street gang. Now, multiple sources indicate Goddard knew about the gang charges ahead of time. A spokesperson for the county attorney's office says Goddard was not asked to resign. He submitted this short letter on Monday. It says, quote, "I have enjoyed every single year of my 21 years as a prosecutor, but recently an opportunity has come up that I could not ignore and opens a new chapter in my life." The Maricopa County Attorney's Office hired a retired judge to investigate how the protest cases were handled. We've learned he's conducted interviews, but so far, MCAO has not said when they expect his final report to be released. I'm investigator Dave Biscobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
You can find all of Dave's.
Thank you, Gabe, for putting that on. There is also another video that apparently I didn't share the proper link that talked about this dude who oversaw many different prosecutorial offices, who he resigned, but also Sherry LaCrone, who was the chief, they call her, which how foul is that like white people really use that terminology in the business world. But the head of the First Responders Bureau resigned. Her name is Sherry LaCrone. She resigned without reason. We'll find the link and drop it in so you can watch it because it's just fun to like hear that. It, you know, can invigorate and give you life because these people are purposefully horrible and going way out of their way to harm people and try to destroy their lives only because they want to silence anyone who is advocating for Black lives. And I think it's really important that we remember that. So we want to kind of hold in our hearts that because we see how the laws that support how the MCAO can harm people, that is the system working by design to harm and oppress folks. But then we have these people who have been entrusted in this system to do their job, to be honest, to make sure that they're seeking justice, and they're going out of their way to manipulate these rules to harm folks. So it's kind of unbelievable how hard they're working. And then we wanted to make another point. Vince Goddard, he was a chief that oversaw multiple units in the MCAO. So he's pretty high up. If we have Alistair at the very top, Vince is probably like one or maybe two steps beneath her. And then he has an umbrella of different divisions, including the first responders. Sorry. Okay. And then he worked for 21 years. So think about, excuse me, folks. Yes, Jade. Great. So think about how many lives that he had the power to ruin in his role overseeing all of these offices. And just so you get a little taste of his character, he worked with Alistair Adele in 2006. There was a young man, I believe he was 19 years old. His name's Justin Dixon. He was involved, he caused a non-lethal vehicular crime. They wanted to make an example out of him. And so they wanted to sentence this 19-year-old to 71 years in prison. And the victims of the crime said, no, like, we don't even think that's necessary. The judge gave this person 51 years in prison. Can you please stop that, baby? And then in the MCAO newsletter, they bragged about how they made this, how they prosecuted this person. And it's the largest, longest sentence ever in the history of Maricopa County for someone in a crime like that. So this is the type of people that we're dealing with, just kind of violent and malicious and trying to, oh my God, trying to harm people for no good reason except because they have the power to. If we think about that sentence, it didn't help anybody. Stop, please. Zoraida, I'm going to pass it to you and get this child settled. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, so we're going to talk a little more in detail about how this, I'm sorry, I just put a cough drop in my mouth and just chewed it the second she said please, so it's like burning the top of my mouth. So we're going to get into our next video that clearly lays out how the system is designed to target and harm specifically Black and Brown communities and anyone who supports them. So Gabe, are you ready for the next video clip?
And tonight we're pulling back the curtain on the state's gang member database. It's shared by police across Arizona. There is no outside oversight. You're not told if you're on it. There's no way to challenge it. And defense attorneys and civil rights leaders say there's a huge potential for abuse. ABC 15 investigator Dave Biscobing uncovered police protesters were added to that database, and he breaks down the evidence that was used to put them there.
Inside the state's gang member database, you'll find the names of 17 of these umbrella-carrying protesters. In October 2020, they marched in the middle of downtown Phoenix streets, followed by many more Phoenix officers. Then, they huddled on a street corner where they got arrested and eventually charged as a criminal street gang. ABC 15 obtained copies of each of their entries into the state's gang database. They're called gimmicks, short for gang member information cards. And when you check the cards, you'll see there are 2 pages. Most are handwritten and include their name, address, phone number, email, social security number, picture, tattoos, and details about their alleged gang membership. The information on these cards is then entered into a statewide database called GangNet.
It is a database entirely maintained by law enforcement that has no scrutiny from any other branch of government or from any citizen organization or from anybody whatsoever. They control this database completely. And if they want you in this database, they can put you in this database.
So we don't know what they're doing or how they're doing it.
Nope. As far as you know, you could be in that database. I could be in that database.
Seth Apfel is a defense attorney. He's challenged the state's gang laws, even won a case last year at the state Supreme Court.
How many studies have you authored related to gangs?
And as part of those cases, he's cross-examined police about how gimmick cards and GangNet work. This hearing is from 2018. A Phoenix gang detective is on the stand.
And who controls gimmicks and these determinations?
DPS is the entity that manages it.
And there's no public oversight?
No, not that I'm sure of.
And the persons that are gimmicked aren't informed, they don't have a chance to appeal the determination?
No, sir.
To charge as a street gang in Arizona, the law is broad. You need just 2 of the following criteria: And here are the ones that officials claimed for the protesters. They carried umbrellas, they wore mostly black, and they chanted, "All cops are bastards." Now check the gimmick cards. For those reasons, officials labeled them members of ACAB, a gang of extremists.
Look, as far as the criteria themselves, there isn't a single person on the face of the planet that's not going to fit two of those criteria. Right. If you work for a company, you already have a logo and proclamation. So just having a job by itself lets you meet the criteria. Then all you need is one person in that group to have ever committed a felony, and you meet the definition of a criminal street gang. And that becomes especially dangerous, even more so when you start looking at the possibility of its use for political persecution.
To get the gang charges against the protesters, a Phoenix sergeant testified before a grand jury and compared the group to the Bloods, the Crips, and the Hells Angels. After we exposed those exaggerations and lies, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office dropped the gang charges and recently filed this court motion. MCAO now admits the grand jury testimony was deeply flawed. There's no reasonable likelihood of conviction. They relied on an informant with a troubling history of lying to police, and it doesn't appear the group actually called themselves ACAB.
Once you're in GangNet, if you have any interaction with the police, that's going to go differently than it's going to go for somebody that is not in GangNet. It's going to be considered more of a high-risk stop by the officers who may not know why you were in GangNet. They're more likely to search your car. They're more likely to draw their weapons. They're more likely to pull you out of the car. They're more likely to question you about crimes, even if you've done absolutely nothing wrong.
Phoenix police declined to answer any questions for this story, and neither Phoenix nor the Department of Public Safety would say if they plan to remove these protesters' names. Now, something else to highlight about when this all happened. The protesters were arrested on October 17th, indicted on gang charges on October 27th. But again, check the gimmick cards. They were all created and filed after the indictments. Defense attorneys tell us they believe that was an attempt to create evidence after the fact, and it's another example of how easily this system can be abused. I'm investigator Dave Biskobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
Earlier this year, State Senator Martin Quezada introduced a bill to address some of these issues, and he told us his bill would have created a way to appeal placement in that gang database.
Fix this problem from the very beginning. And this is a way to give at least some due process to people who are unjustly listed as gang members.
I was shocked to see we're now just doing handwritten one sentences about fictional gangs, and now you're in the statewide gang database. I was kind of shocked that that's all it took.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really shows that, this is a strategy that is being used, and it is a strategy that is absolutely being abused by law enforcement to criminalize targeted groups, whether they are communities of color, whether they are low-income communities, or whether they are political protesting communities.
Arizona's legislature has a slim Republican majority in both the House and the Senate. Quezada is a Democrat. His bill never got a hearing. As for Dave's politically charged series, you can find his full investigation on abc15.com/protest.
Puke. Blech.
That's the summary, Zoraida. Thank you. Besides that, friends, besides being sick to your stomach, please drop your hot takes into the chat. We'd love to know. So the first thing I want to say, the first, the middle, and the last thing I want to say is how the system is already set up and designed to target and oppress Black folks. The rules are in place to make that easy to happen. And then we see the creativity, really, of Phoenix Police and MCAO, how 10 days later, they're going to come up with all of these charges and put these people into the gang database, saying that they have violent tendencies. They were literally walking down the street. We saw Sergeant McBride testify that they are as violent and as dangerous as the Bloods and Crips. And then, Gabe, would you share Dave's tweet just so everyone can see? You heard the officers say that the Department of Public Safety, Security, DPS, they house the gang database. PPD sent them all these gimmick cards, and the Department of DPS said ACAB is not a gang. We'll drop the link for that into the chat too. ACAB is not a gang. They do not qualify to be a gang. This is clearly false, misleading, and inflammatory. It's absolutely ridiculous. Then this judge wrote this long, scathing report about these cases and talked about how they're lying, they're colluding. They came to the grand jury with false information regarding a non-existent gang. So anyone now, even folks that are housed in the system, okay, DPS and judges are now telling PPD and MCAO, you all are wild, you're lying, what you're saying is untrue. And I believe the judge that wrote this used the word absurd and ridiculous on page 11. I do remember that for sure. So we'll drop that in the chat and you all can read it because it was a really fun read. Gabe, thank you for sharing that. I hope you could read it, but just so you saw, Dave's tweeting about this. Dave is so irritated and upset with them. And the fact that it's so blatant that they're just abusing their power to fulfill these vendettas. The other thing is I thought it was kind of funny that they call these gang cards gimmicks, and we know like a gimmick, that's a trick that offers no value. It's just intended to get attention. And so these gang member information cards that were created after everyone was arrested, it really is a gimmick. So
do you know if anybody's been taken off that gimmick list, or there's no way to even find out, right?
Well, I think that that Dave can get the information. I'm not certain about that, but definitely if it can be gotten, Dave's gonna get it. We will find out. But there is, like they said in that news report, there's absolutely no oversight. So there's not a way to know who is on it, or there's no way to say, no, I shouldn't be on it. There's no oversight whatsoever. But again, it is very telling that the DPS wouldn't even accept ACAB as a gang because it's so incredibly ludicrous to call those protesters a gang called ACAB. Like, wow. It's just pathetic. So we also wanted to talk about how we'll remind us all that PPD and MCAO continue to work together to silence dissent against them. All of these folks are protesting. They were protesting police brutality, police violence, and drop Adele. We wanted Adele out of the office because we knew that she's corrupt. So they're continuing to attempt to destroy lives so that people become afraid to speak out against them. These fictional gangs that they created, you heard the lawyer say that literally anyone can qualify to be a part of them. And that MCAO is just targeting these specific people and really reaching. I mean, they all wore black and they all chanted ACAB, so they're in a violent gang. We also wanted to talk about April Sponsel, who of course is on her administrative leave, who was the one telling PPD to add charges, to give these enhancements. And some people with MassLib have told us that every single lawyer they've talked to knows how vile she is, that she spends all of her energy trying to get folks locked into the gang unit and put away. The other thing is, we see just the language, like we're kind of saying, oh, okay, these gang cards and gang charges, but I feel like it's become so common to us that we don't really think about that umbrella term calling BLM terrorists and anyone affiliated with the Movement for Black Lives gang members, I think is very purposeful, not only to instill fear in the hearts of all of these law-abiding citizens that believe in the system and the illusion of justice, but to make sure that they can treat these folks harshly and continue to abuse the system for their own gain. Something else to think about is, when has it been so prominent in our city that there's this focus on gangs. And where was it directed? I didn't see anything on January 6th with these wildly dangerous, violent white gang members from Arizona going to the Capitol to overrun that. But we see throughout history, especially in South Phoenix and predominantly Black and Latinx neighborhoods, all of this focus about gangs, trying to really build it up in the news to scare folks, to get them to believe there's an us and a them, and that we need the police. We need the police. We need strict laws. We need the war on drugs, and we need to be tough on crime to protect us from that violence. Okay, so don't ignore the fact that these terms violent and gang are very pointed, and they're almost like a dog whistle. And just to give you some of the stats, in 2009, the defense attorneys at ACLU did a report about the fact that 85% of April Sponsol's cases were against Black and brown folks. 43% of her cases were against Black people. And in our city, we have 4% population of Black people. So if you think of those numbers and how disparate they are, it is very chilling. So, I mean, that's a lot of bad news. It gives me goosebumps. It kind of makes me scared and angry. However, if I can kind of turn it around and make it a celebration, only because all of you have shown up every single freaking day and night to every protest, to every rally, to every call to action, to every phone call and email. These prosecutors are fleeing like rats, okay? The head of the First Responders Bureau has resigned without reason. Vince Goddard, who was the head of the head, I don't know if you saw in his letter, he said, I've loved being a prosecutor and ruining people's lives for 21 years, but a wonderful opportunity I can't pass up has come my way. So I resign now. And we're like, yeah, the opportunity is you don't want to be prosecuted by your peers. So you're getting the hell out of Dodge. We see you, Vince. We see you, Sherry. We see you, April Sponsel, and Alistair Dell. Guess what? Eyes on you, baby. We are coming. And the power that the people have to change these dynamics and to dismantle the system is growing, and it's becoming more and more apparent to them. They know that we're watching them. They got those 5,000 plus petitions that we hand delivered, and we're happy. It's a huge step in the right direction that they've resigned, that they're on leave, that Alistair is over here in La La Land tweeting about truth and honesty. But it's not enough, so stay with us, because we do want them all disbarred so they can never, ever abuse their power again and harm people so flagrantly. And think, I mean, 21 years in office, and that's the type of person he is. I shudder to think about how many folks he put behind bars, and not just, it's just so malicious. You know, the system is already bad enough, but then you have someone this malicious and evil that's abusing power. It's staggering.
Wait, Patricia, can you share the most disgusting part that we learned about April Sponsel, the nickname that is commonly known amongst her comrades? I know, y'all hold on to your seats. This is really, really bad.
I did skip over it. Thank you for making me come back to it. So we were informed by one of our wonderful organizers at Mass Lib, who honestly probably knows half of the defense attorneys in Maricopa County, that they actually call April Sponsel Amistad because her mission and goal in life is to get Black folks under shackles and cage them. So that's literally the nickname that they call her.
Like some people get called Maverick or Goose or have these nicknames. She's known as Amistad. Like, is that the most disgusting thing you've ever heard in your life? That's the most disgusting thing I've heard probably all month and last month too. Just saying.
Yeah, maybe all of 2020. I know, I'm sorry. It did need to be said. I totally skipped over it. Thank you, Zoraida. And just on the point, Kaylin on Facebook is saying that The language of gangs is so racist. Can you imagine them using that language to talk about the Women's March or something? They all had pink pussy hats and they were saying dump Trump and all that. So it's absurd. Yes, there's lots of what the fucks in the chat, and there's really, you know, what can we say about that except these people have to be disbarred and the system has to be dismantled. That's why our goal is not just to get the charges dropped, but to decrease the power, the funding, the size of the MCAO, because they're not going to stop, friends. The other thing, and I know I'm taking us on like a roller coaster because it's good news, it's a celebration, but then back to the bad news, because you know, we put pressure on this because people were reaching out and needing help from these cases. Dave Biscobine got involved and publicized this. But friends, without that public eye on what's happening, it's been going on since the beginning of time to countless people. So that is disheartening, but it can also kind of be the fuel that propels us to stay with this work long term. That's my outlook on it. And I know you all share the same because you don't quit showing up.
So yeah, I'm inviting you all to take like half a second to just breathe, because that stupid nickname alone is enough to literally make me crawl out of my skin. But we have arrived at our last video. And when I say breathe, I'm not kidding. I may not stop and breathe with you, but honestly, if you need to turn my voice off and breathe for a second with everything we've just learned from Patricia's recap, even the celebration part, the fact that we need to celebrate this crap is, you know, it's a testament to our hard work and our dedication, but we shouldn't even be having to deal with any of this. It's, you know, fucking 2021 now. But anyway, as I get off my soapbox, we're finally at our last video. So yeah, I want to give all power to all the people. And this is why we stay organized and continue to push back against the powers that be. So Gabe, if we can get to it, about our very last
we broke our politically charged investigation. Phoenix police arresting more than 120 protesters in one night, booking all of them into jail with the same copy and paste statement. We discovered officers made the arrest regardless of whether they had any proof of wrongdoing, and in many cases, they had none. Now, a group of local and national attorneys just announced they filed a federal class action lawsuit against the city and police chief Jerry Williams. ABC 15 investigator Dave Biscobine got a copy and spoke to a major civil rights attorney who is backing the case.
We are here today in a downtown Phoenix hotel. Local attorney Stephen Benedetto made the announcement.
Class action lawsuit against the city of Phoenix for these unlawful arrests.
Behind him stood community activists, other attorneys in the case, and one of the protesters who was arrested. Her name is Maxima Guerrero. We spoke to her after the announcement.
I mean, do you think the intent was just to send a message? Don't you come out here anymore?
Definitely. Don't come out here. You're going to be, this is how we're going to treat you. We're going to, and inhumanely, and cause and instill that fear that people shouldn't be coming out anymore.
No probable cause.
This is video from our previous report when back on May 30th, 2020, in the wake of George Floyd's murder, Guerrero was one of 124 people arrested with the same exact copy and paste probable cause statement.
For one count of rioting.
Judges were not impressed.
This time there is no probable cause.
Phoenix Chief Jerry Williams and Maricopa County Attorney Alistair Adele defended the arrests and the copy and paste statements, saying the facts of the cases were similar and it was an efficient way to handle them.
This is a pattern of practice for the Phoenix Police Department. But when they were caught doing this to the protesters in May, did they stop? No.
Bruce Franks Jr., an activist and former state lawmaker from Missouri, was not arrested that night, but he was targeted for arrest later that summer. Our investigation exposed police lied to get his charges, which were also dismissed.
What they did was spend the next 6 months colluding with the Maricopa County Attorney's Office and its now suspended prosecutor to fabricate evidence and falsify serious felony charges.
The lawsuit is 67 pages and lists the city, Chief Williams, and other key police officials. ABC 15 learned this is the first of several major lawsuits that attorneys plan to file for how police and prosecutors handled protest cases last year.
Last but not least,
local lawyers have brought in prominent civil rights attorney Bill Murphy Jr. He's handled major police misconduct cases like Freddie Gray in Baltimore, but also represented major companies like Johnson & Johnson and Microsoft. So what drew Murphy to this case?
It's consistent with what I see whenever a community has a high level of racism, and any level of racism is intolerable, but the higher the level, the more you have to fight against it. When police lie, as they do across the country, that means that they don't care about the individual who they're arresting. When they fabricate charges, it means they don't care about the individuals whom they're arresting. And that's consistent with racism.
I'm investigator Dave Biscobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
In a statement, Phoenix says they're committed to the safety, security, and constitutionally protected rights of everyone. A spokesperson also pointed out that in response to our reporting, the city had already hired a national consulting company to examine police protest policies. And you can see our full politically charged investigation at abc15.com/protests. You can also check out our stories on any of the streaming platforms listed right there on your screen.
That was a lot of good news that was also strung by a lot of ugly stuff too, Patricia. We can't get away from that.
I know this night, I mean, we all need hugs and cookies after this politically charged Monday. So the news is out. Yeah.
Can I say our chat has been popping? Is Facebook popping too? Should we share some of the things that were said?
Yeah, let's do it, please.
So besides all the WTFs, there was a reference of Alistair Adele's photo giving somebody Major Dolores Umbridge vibes. And like, yeah, second that. And that this is some 21st century bullshit. Oh, Vanessa shared from Facebook. Okay, thank you. That's the things are horrific and disgusting. Yeah, I think we're good now. Thank you. I just want to make sure everyone's voice was heard.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. The lies are revealed. The news is out. What is Phoenix Police Department's response? We are committed to the safety and security of everyone. So that is like the highest level of gaslighting. And the only people that can believe that and go to sleep at night are white people. And even then, like, you have to be like a really off, like confused, very disconnected white person to actually see the news and believe that. Okay, no one believes that they are committed to the safety and security of everyone. And of course, their solution to these egregious harms and violence, it's okay, don't worry, you guys, because we are doing an investigation. We paid $250,000, I believe, $250K, I think, to the 21 SP, this Policing Solutions, all of these ex-police chiefs to investigate their misconduct. So
2 of them are from Arizona on that consulting team.
it's all going to be okay because the cops are investigating the cops, and we can assure you that we're committed to safety and security of everyone. Nothing to see here. Terry Becker is saying, so the city of Phoenix hired a consultant regarding protester policy. What does that really mean? Do we trust that policy will be changed based on this audit? No, absolutely not, Terry. What we can trust is that the police paid our tax dollars to investigate their violent top killers in the nation police force to silence us and make us forget. Oh, well, they're investigating it, so it'll be fine. Nothing's going to be fine. And please understand the reason why folks say abolition is the only way is because investigation and policy change has never, can never, will never diminish the violence of the police force. It will never change what they're here for and what they're doing. It cannot. By design, the police are here to target and harm Black folks. That is what they're doing. That is what they always will do. There's no training you can come up with. There's no investigation or report, no matter how expensive, that's going to change that. Like, ever at all. We can all go together and get tattoos that say that, like long-winded paragraphs. So no, absolutely not. The other thing to remember is it would be bad enough, right, if this was a one-off situation, like, oh my God, scandal, Chief Jerry Williams and April Sponsel were colluding to do this terrible thing. But no, we have Chief Jerry Williams, her entire force, the entire tactical response unit, who were the good old boys with their neo-Nazi challenge coins, and then everyone at the First Responders Bureau in the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. That's a lot of people on both sides again and again and again doing this. It's a pattern and it's systemic. And the other thing that really makes me sick, their response was, we did those mass forms because it was efficient. It's the most efficient way we can destroy many lives all at one time with very little effort on our part. Yay. Like, think of how disrespectful and the lack of regard for human life. I mean, that is very, very scary. And these are the people that the majority of folks in our city, county, state believe are protecting us and serving our communities. That is some scary, scary stuff right there. So the attorney they brought on, Bill Murphy, to help with this class action lawsuit, I want to highlight what he said. He said, when a community has a high level of racism, which every community does, like if we're being real, but when it's this apparent, when we know the police are deemed to protect and serve and they're doing the exact opposite, when police lie as they do across the country, that means they don't care about the individual who they're arresting. When they fabricate charges, it means they don't care about the individuals they're arresting. And that is consistent with racism. That's why he signed on with all these incredible lawyers who are doing this class action lawsuit to take action against Chief Jerry and against the Phoenix Police Department, who are going out of their way to prosecute these folks, so that we're all afraid to show up at protests, to say anything for the Black Lives Matter movement, because we think, oh my God, I'm gonna get felony gang charges. Like, that's really scary. Vanessa might be saying, someone from the Facebook chat or her own comment, yes, they don't care about getting it right. They won't just get people gone and disappear.
And discipline black folks, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right, and the investigation company is literally staffed entirely by ex-police chiefs. So they've been police for like 30 years. Let me scroll down on my little notes. Okay, so we also wanted to highlight Ruth Wilson Gilmore, longtime abolitionist, incredible visionary. Says that the purpose of abolition is to expose and defeat all of the relationships and policies that make the US the world's top cop, the warmonger, and the jailer. So we can see that this lawsuit is one very important piece in disrupting the system at large, and included with the importance of the lawsuit, so that there's massive public attention on what's happening, the conversations that we have, the pushing to drop the charges, the problematizing of MCAO, because this has been going on forever and people are just walking about their daily lives. Alistair's posting that stuff on Twitter. Vince is probably going to get some, job somewhere. Sherry, we'll be watching and we'll be letting you know what they're doing. But it's really unacceptable, and it takes our energy to shift what's going on and really decrease their power and dismantle the systems. The other thing to remember, which is so upsetting, that Phoenix police doesn't even care. They're dropping these gang enhancements and all of these things for efficiency. These are people, these are human beings with individual lives, with hopes and dreams that they are destroying. And it's happened way too much before we were here, and we're working to prevent it from happening in the future. And if we think about that gang database, like most of policing, right? There's no community oversight. I really think it points to how egregious this is, that the department, the DPS, can't even agree with PPD that ACAB is a gang. They're like, if they're saying you're reaching and you're wildly out of control, there's serious issues in what's happening. Oh, what's going on in the chat? Oh, Gabe put the quote. Thank you so much, Gabe. Yeah, so if folks want to share, it looks like Karen from Facebook said it's a distraction and they're hoping that we will get tired first, and we won't. We can't. We can rest, but we can't get tired and give up on this. Thank you for sharing that for sure, Karen. So if there are any more hot takes, Zoraida, you can go ahead and let us know. But I do want to let everybody know, I hope you are sufficiently rested and inspired and fucking pissed off and ready to fight with us, because on Friday at 1:30, will be at the Superior Court, which is attached to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. They're doing oral arguments, 9 folks who, you're not going, you don't have to go to the courthouse. 9 folks who have their charges that were dropped without prejudice. They now have an oral argument so that their charges will be dropped with prejudice so that they cannot ever come back. I am gonna go, but you'll have a babysitter. Just one second, Jade. What is my point? So please come join us 1:30 on Friday. We'll meet at 12:45 so we can talk. And we're gonna have, Bruce is making us amazing, incredible black t-shirts that say drop the charges MCAO. So we're gonna show up, we're gonna pack the courthouse so the judge sees all of us and our 150 friends saying you better drop these charges with prejudice. So save the date, info will be coming, check socials, share it with your friends. What's up, Zoraida?
We have Amy and Dominic both saying that their lawyers are going to be there on Friday. So if nobody doesn't already know this, Amy and Dominic were 2 of those protesters that got arrested or got their charges dropped without prejudice.
Yeah, so we're there for you and for the other folks that, who, by the way, lawyers did sign up, because there were 15 people that needed this, but only 9 folks are going to be at the oral argument because some of the lawyers, for whatever reason, decided they couldn't join this petition. And so their cases can be brought back again. It's at 1:30 is when the oral argument is, and we'll meet at 12:45, and we will have details. They're going to be emailed out to you and all over socials. So that's that. Join us, save the date, have your friends join us. You're going to be fine, baby. You don't have to come. Like I said earlier, Sue still has charges. If you could please help us get them free by flooding Alistair, Adele, and the MCAO's lines. We have the phone number. We have a script for you. You can call between 8 to 5. If you're super shy, you don't want to talk to anybody, you just don't want to talk to MCAO, call and leave a message. They'll record it. Finally, almost finally, second to last, we have HB 2309, friends. We have to keep the pressure up about that. That is the protester punishment bill. And it could be heard. So we need to keep pressure on. The link is in the chat. You can get all the info you need to help push back against that. And on Twitter or Facebook, if you tag either your state senator of some of the targets in the post so that they know why voting to pass HB 2309 will put them on the wrong side of history. Come here. So please continue calling and emailing. Public pressure works. Finally, tomorrow night, friends, if you're not, most of you are, but if you're not yet in the Drop the Charges MCAO Action Committee, join us. Our meetings are fun. Bruce is going to be there tomorrow night. It's at 6 p.m. The sign up is in the chat. You can join us and really get plugged into this important, crucial, essential work that we are doing. We are pushing and we are making a difference. We cannot thank you enough. It's absolutely incredible that you have this much stamina and staying power, and we so appreciate it. Before we close out, I did want to say too, since we'll all be in space tomorrow with Bruce, most of you probably know today is Christopher Harris Day. Chris Harris is Bruce's big brother. He was murdered when he was 9 years old, when Bruce was 6 years old. And so Bruce decided to become a state legislator and made Christopher Harris Day. It took him a long time to pass it, but he did. And passing that also helped change the legislation and make it safer for kids in his hometown. So we just want to give big love to Bruce, love and respect, and blessings on, yep, Chris Harris Day. Thank you so much, everybody. If you have any questions, text or email me, find us, and we're here for you.
Hey, Patricia, so we have 5 minutes. I want to say two things, if that's okay. First, I want to give Jade a big old hug because, honey, your mommy is going to be protected by all these people who love her. So she's going to be just fine. But the fact that your daughter is upset and so in the know at what crappy people you're dealing with, and she's crying and needs consolation right now because you're fighting the good fight, breaks my heart. But Jade, honey, we all love your mommy and she's going to be okay. All right. You're going to be okay. The second thing is that since we have about 5 minutes and we have Amy and Dominic here, do you mind if I ask them to talk about how it felt to hear about the gimmick and about the cut and paste charges and how nonchalant people were about it? Is that okay for the last 5 minutes? Cool. And no pressure to you two if you don't want to.
I don't mind. Dominic, you can go first if you want.
Sure, yeah. I mean, like, I think we're all on the same page here, just calling it complete bullshit. I don't know. It's hard to know how I feel about these things a lot of times just because I don't know for sure what's happening or what's going on. So, it's very important for me to like stay updated, stay with this group, talk to my lawyer, and just like because like, yeah, we know that like MCO and PPD have been doing shady shit forever, and so like it's just hard to know what's happening or what's coming up next. So. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel ready for whatever, but I just don't know what's going to happen.
Thank you, Dominic.
Yeah, I guess like for me, like I have these days where like I forget it's happening, just because like I'm working and going to school, and it's like I don't have time to think. And then like a couple weeks will go by, and my lawyer will email me, and it's just like brings me back again. So it's just like weird juxtaposition of like trying to live my life while going through this like really like traumatic thing. But I'm really grateful for the work you guys do, and I'm super grateful for the lawsuit, the class action lawsuit, because while I don't think I'm going to get $3.5 million, even though that would be obviously awesome, it's more about like sending a message and it just showing them that like they can't do this to people and how life ruining it really is. I mean, like I was just like applying for a house a couple months ago, and I was like, oh my God, is this gonna show up on my background check? You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's shit like that you don't even think about, like it affects your everyday life. But it's weird and it's crazy and it's hard to deal with, but I really appreciate you guys a lot.
Well, we appreciate you being here too. We really do. And since we have a few minutes, Gabe, if you want to go ahead and kick off the music, I just want to thank you all again for being here and being such wonderful supporters and steadfast, badass people just in general, and never giving up and being here to support Amy and Dominic in times like these. And also, if we could, I don't know if she could see, but if we could all just throw up love for baby Jade so she knows mommy's going to be okay. Mommy's going to be okay, baby girl. Everybody loves her. We all love you too. Thanks for being here, y'all. We'll see you soon.